We're going to have so much money coming in from tariffs.
Hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs, substantial tariffs, 10% tariffs,
25% tariffs,
50% tariffs, big tariffs, 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 tariffs. I love tariffs.
By the way, I know everyone was freaking out about all that tariff stuff and all of that and what it was doing to the stock market. And then everybody jumped in and it looked like just this big manipulation of the market so that rich people could get even richer.
Americans need to know whether President Trump or anyone in his administration manipulated the market to benefit their donors.
This is Charles Schwab. It's not just a company, it's actually an individual. And he made $2.5 billion today, and he made $900 million.
And then, poor people could still chant USA, USA at a UFC event. I literally do not understand what's going on. First of all, I might be wrong on this. This whole idea that other countries stole our jobs, like our factory jobs and all that, as far as I remember, that's not the case. Here's a little quick history from someone who doesn't read a lot. In the 1800s, during the, what was that period called? The Industrial Revolution. They had like kids working in factories, like fucking 12, 14-hour days, like 4 or 5-year-old kids in dangerous situations. And people weren't making any money. And the one guy who owned the factory was keeping all the money. These robber barons, who all should be in fucking jail. But politicians don't make any money, and they just throw them money, so they are on the legal side of stealing.
I'm a senator. I got to raise $10,000 a day every day I'm in Washington. I ain't getting it in South Central. I'm getting it in Beverly Hills. So I'm voting in the Senate the way they want me to, and I'm sending them my bills. But we got babies in South Central dying as young as they do in Peru.
No one's ever gone to jail for being a robber baron. Anyway, so the working man finally has enough. They start organizing unions. The robber barons hire police, the army, all of these people to come in and kill these people in riots, crack their skulls, do unbelievable sorts of damage to them to try and force them to go back to work for sweatshop wages. These people died, were maimed, catastrophic fucking injuries so that we could have a decent wage in this country. And they had unions and all of that.
Some of the striking workers, they rush the gates at the McCormick plant. Cops, they shoot, they kill a couple of the strikers. Speed sees this, he sees this, he's like, oh, this is bullshit. Let's not do this, and a lot of fancy words.
So then there was like a 40, 50-year period where being a middle-class person, middle-class white person, was the dream. Because there was still racism, classism, and all of that shit, right? Well, middle class is a class. There was still racism, okay? And then what happened was eventually these corporations just got sick of dealing with these unions and their hard-nosed negotiating and all that. And then they just said, well, fuck you then. Keep your union, keep your factory. We're leaving. And they took their factories outside of the U.S. and went back to 1800 wages. In Mexico, China, wherever the hell they're building them. So then what happened was once people realized that was happening, there was this pushback. This is how it happened during my lifetime. People were like, what the fuck? You should be making those things here. And then what the corporate guy said was, well, we would make sneakers here, but if to pay the American worker and everything, the sneakers would then, instead of costing $50, they'd now cost $700.
I think American consumers are happy being able to pay $5 for a T-shirt. I mean, that's a nice thing to be able to save some money at the grocery store or at the superstore.
And I was always thinking, why? It would cost $700. I can't afford that. And what it really was they weren't going to lose the profit of sweatshop labor. So if they came back to America, we weren't going to work for that. So, and they weren't going to lose the profit of sweatshop labor, so they were going to pass it on to the consumer. That's what the fuck happened. So all of this talk that, Mexico stole our jobs, China stole our jobs, they didn't steal the jobs.
They took our jobs.
They took your job. They took your job. Took your job.
They were exploited by the super rich cunts that are not patriots in this country. They're not. They're pieces of shit. So that's what the fuck happened. So, and then here we are all of these years later in an effort to get, this labor to come back. We're somehow trying to punish these other countries who've been suffering with sweatshop labor from a handful of super rich people from this country that fucked everyone in this country and every other country that they went to around the world, making America look bad. But what do? They divide us. They have the American worker who's getting fucked, mad at the whatever other worker around the world who's also getting fucked, actually getting fucked worse, getting sweatshop slave wages. So I really believe that was happening. And I don't understand what that whole fucking thing was, but all I know is once again, the market tanked and a bunch of rich people, right before they turned it back on again, went in and made a ridiculous amount of money, and they're all high-fiving with each other. And I don't know, this guy told me something a long time ago. He says, when you watch the stock market and they go like, up $2 billion was lost today. He's like, money isn't lost. Like, where did it go?
Where in the budget is this money?
Yeah, this is, they play sleight of hand with this, Charlie. It's crazy.
That's just how they frame it. It isn't lost. It changes hands. All right, that's enough of that shit. Enough of that shit. It's just an astoundingly greedy and ignorant time these last 10 fucking years. Not even 10, these last 20 fucking years. Whenever we went into Iraq, for the reasons we went in there and the reasons we said we were going there was never discovered, and we're still there, and it bled us dry. That's the fucking problem with the dollar. It's not Trump, it's not Biden, it's not Obama. It's that we went in there, we had no exit plan, we're still there, and we're beyond fucking bankrupt. And for whatever reason, you can't talk about, we can't just be like, all right, we made a mistake. We thought you had this shit. You didn't. Sorry about that. I don't know. I'm probably oversimplifying all of this, but I am at least smart enough to not attribute any of this shit to a blue or a red tie. I like to think that.
So y'all was in Iraq together?
Yeah, we was in Iraq.
What did you do?
We was looking for weapons of mass destruction.
Did you ever find them?
You know goddamn well we ain't find them.